Dear Nigerians, in the last presidential elections, I campaigned for meritocracy, insisting that we should leave region, religion, tribe, and tongue from our politics. Those who were more schooled in the art of politics laughed at me because, based on their experience, only amateurs talk about meritocracy in a nation whose constitution recognizes and promotes the divisions of tribe and tongue. As I address you today on unfolding events within and without my party, the ADC, I am forced to acknowledge that indeed region, religion, tribe, and tongue are and will continue to be the key ingredients in our nation's politics until we do away with the geriatrics who have a chokehold on our country. A few weeks ago, I had wondered a group of mostly old former political office holders were executing a carefully orchestrated agenda to take over the ADC to prosecute Atiku Abubakar's presidential ambition come 2027. I also wonder Peter Obi and other presidential hopefuls in this coalition of geriatrics were being duped as Atiku's men had been carefully positioned to take over the ADC party structure across the country. Today, I have been proven right as former Governor Obi and his people now realize that this coalition is indeed a one-man power grab. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, a man who claims affinity and friendship with the South, does not believe any Southerner deserves to be president of Nigeria. Former Presidents Obasanjo and Jonathan are alive to attest to these uncomfortable truths. In their desperation to hijack the ADC, they deliberately perpetrated fraud, of which I now present evidence to you today. I have here before you terms of settlement entered as judgment in the Court of Appeal of Nigeria, holding at Port Harcourt, with appeal number CA-PH 225-2023, between the ADC, Chief Rafunsu, Engineer Eddie Lawrence as appellants, and some of the ADC state chairmen as respondents. What is the fraud, you may ask? To use the ADC, they needed to free it of all legal encumbrances, such as those challenging Rafunsu's fraudulent claim to the chairmanship of the party. And so, they forged signatures of some of the chairmen who were not interested in the sale of the party and presented it to the court as terms of settlement, which the Court of Appeal adopted as judgment. I have here copies of said judgments and international passport copies of the chairmen whose signatures were forged. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, please compare the signature specimens. Our lawyers have dispatched petitions to the appropriate law enforcement agencies on this. As if this was not bad enough, we all watched almost 2 months ago the comedic performance of Rafunsu as he anointed David Mark as chairman of the ADC, and at the same time presented him with a membership card of our party. I again warned Nigerians that this was fraud being perpetrated in broad daylight, as Nwosu had no legal mandate to anoint or appoint a chairman for our party. Sections of the media subsequently addressed David Mark as chairman of the ADC, even though they knew it was constitutionally impossible for this to be so. But again, this is Nigeria, where anything is possible. The same media less than 10 days ago covered and reported a supposed NEC meeting where the same David Mark was again appointed or anointed as chairman of the ADC. So, what are we to believe? When did former Senate President David Mark become the chairman of the ADC? Here is a copy of a letter written to INEC on the 29th of July 2025, wherein the same Rafunsu, who weeks before this had presented David Mark to the world as the new chairman of our party, is still signing his signature as national chairman of the ADC. What a joke. Nigerians are all watching the live coverage of a fraud so monumental and yet so stupid that it beggars belief. These men are following the law to correct their illegalities in full view of Nigerians, INEC, and the media. But nobody's asking questions because we're supposed to be a nation of anything goes. What is the fallout of all these? What is the place of region, religion, and tribe, and even tongue in all of this? Nigerians, please listen to me loud and clear. Atiku Abubakar and a few northern elites who have for decades held political power but did nothing, absolutely nothing, to alleviate the under-education and attendant impoverishment in northern Nigeria for political purposes are at it again. They have armed the weapons of region, religion, tongue, tribe, and poverty as they convince millions of poor northerners that a Southern President Tinubu hates them and is the cause of their poverty. On a daily basis, they are spreading deliberate falsehoods against not only President Tinubu, but against all potential Southern aspirants like myself for the office of president. Peter Obi has been told in very clear terms that he will never get northern votes as an Igbo man, and as such, he should accept to be Atiku's running mate. In order to weaken the South, they have now drafted in former President Jonathan into the race, who is alleged to be offering Peter Obi the position of coordinating minister of the economy for him to support his ambition. In all these, Nigerians are the losers because meritocracy, which can only thrive when ceteris paribus is in play, has been thrown out of the door. Because of a truth, ceteris paribus doesn't exist in the Nigerian ecosystem. Sadly, I am now here before you championing the cause of a Southern presidency, a notion that before now was totally against all I believed in. Nigeria has indeed happened to me. I urge all Nigerians to resist former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and his co-travelers who don't believe in an equitable Nigeria. We must all come to equity with clean hands and sincerity of purpose. We don't burn our houses because we want to kill rats and cockroaches. Sometimes we just need to make our houses clean so that rats and cockroaches live on their own. My earnest prayer is that Nigeria will soon work for every one of us. God bless you all. I'll now take questions.